Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I wanted to briefly mention something about Caleb and Brown. I'm asked all the time. They're about their trading fees. What they do is, most of these exchanges where you go and you trade on, you have a there's a trading fee, but there's also a spread. So you might buy XRP at $2.90 when it's actually at $2.85 because of the spread. I mean, that happens all the time. And then, so what Caleb and Brown does and how they do it differently, they have a trading fee of 3.5%, but that's negotiable based on the volumes you're doing or the amount of money. And so, but they have no spread at all. There's no spread. I talked to Jim from over there, and he confirmed that there's no spread at all. And so this is one of the two places I keep my, so that I can keep my crypto in institutional custody, and they've got the OTC liquidity when it's time for an exit. And they have an actual person you can speak to and on the phone, and you can email them and get things done just like that. If you want to open an account, you can go to xrpwealth589.com. That will forward you right to my page on Caleb and Brown. You click sign up today, and these guys will get you set up. And they also, if you have your XRP in an LLC, you can set it up in an LLC. And if you have a trust, you can set up your trust account there too. It is awesome. I like it a lot. Okay, XRP's pulled back some, 293. I'm getting accumulation vibes for myself here. Let's look at this. I wanted to show you this. 2 Bitcoin mining pools are getting awfully close to 51%. Foundry USA has 31.37%. Antpool has 15.92%. And all we're told is about how decentralized it is. 51% control. I'm not saying it would be, but it could be a 51% attack. I got this from memepool.space. They have the mining pools labeled here on this chart. John Deaton's got a Linqto update. There was a call this morning.
Hey everybody, this is John Deaton. Listen, we have a hearing tomorrow in the Linqto matter.
He must have done this last night.
I know a lot of people are antsy. I can't really get into specifics. Tomorrow, I expect there to be good news, or at least as good a news as we can have being in bankruptcy court. So tomorrow evening, I'll probably do a detailed update once things are public and answer questions and provide people with tomorrow's important hearing. So if you can participate and listen in, feel free to do so. Otherwise, the fight continues. Customers are going to come out the way they should. And talk to you tomorrow. Everybody keep the faith. Bye.
Okay. I haven't really delved into, well, actually, wait a minute, I needed to read this. Regarding Linqto, at today's hearing in the bankruptcy court in Texas, the counsel for the debtor, Linqto, and the counsel for the creditors committee announced a settlement. The $60 million DIP loan using customer shares of Ripple, Circle, Kraken, Uphold, etc. is now off. My motion objecting to the DIP loan and asking the judge to impose a constructive trust ruling in effect, Linqto does not own the shares and therefore cannot collateralize those shares, will not be litigated. This is great news. I will do a Spaces at 7. So he's doing one tonight at 7 to expound further on it. Now, as you know, we have the crypto police in the XRP community, and they only allow certain conversations. They have to have a sheet in front of their face showing them something for you to be allowed to talk about certain things. And so, but guess what? Some of us that didn't care about that, we've called a lot of things that are coming true right before your eyes right now. In this clip, I reported Brad Combs from Digital Perspectives to the crypto police because he's talking about 3 things you're not allowed to talk about. I put them here. Ripple is a lender of last resort, in other words, a central bank. XRP escrow pre-allocation, and the possibility of Ripple announcing no further sales of the XRP escrow. This offended me greatly, and this is a lot of sarcasm, by the way. Actually, this is a great clip. Listen up.
Let's just pull back a little bit. You said stablecoin wars, Paul, is so spot on, right? Well, let's pull back a little more here. You know, there is a bill known as the Anti-CBDC Anti-Surveillance Act that's waiting to go through. And that's very important because everyone knows that that is going to stop the Federal Reserve from being able to issue a digital dollar a la stablecoin or CBDC, which I love. None of us want it. We don't want any of that. It's pretty clear none of us want that. We're smart enough to know to keep that out. But there's a larger point here. To me, what I'm seeing is that the Federal Reserve clearly knows that they're being shut out of participating in the new digital on-chain economy. So you have to ask yourself, who's going to be the Federal Reserve of the new digital on-chain economy? And I think it's Ripple. And I think it's Ripple because they also have the escrow, which makes them a lender of last resort, a la a central bank, for the new digital on-chain economy. And I think that's a larger narrative that we're seeing, and it could play into why we're seeing the pushback and the fight from Jerome Powell at the Fed without discussing it publicly that he's mad with this administration, because they know that the door is being shut on them to participate in this new digital world we're moving to. Well, you know, it's quite a remarkable conversation and question you're asking there, Paul. That is like, woo, that is the biggie, right? Everybody wants to know, right? You know, first of all, escrow by definition means that you're holding funds for a third party. So right out of the gate, it's Ripple and somebody else is by definition of the word escrow itself. That is quite interesting. So you have to wonder how much of the XRP and escrow could potentially be earmarked for the largest economies of the world, like the G7 and G20. And if you start to look at the proliferation of the XRP ledger and what stable coins are showing up already on the ledger, a good portion of them are G20 nations with the largest economies of the world. So when I look at that, I have to ask myself, how much of that escrow could be earmarked? Because we know from back in the day, history tells us, Greg Kidd had a pre-allocated option contract. We know that R3 had a pre-allocated option contract of 5 billion XRP. Do we think for a second that they are the only two entities that were smart enough to earmark and get a pre-allocated option contract for exposure to XRP for future use in the new digital on-chain economy? Now, let's assume that all of that's not real. Let's assume for a second, change gears, that, okay, none of that's real. It's all in the escrow and it doesn't belong to anybody. Okay, great. Then let's just assume what Sal Gilberti said on your show, Paul, that they hold the escrow and then they announce when they get their banking charter in the Federal Reserve master account that we're no longer going to sell any more XRP. And the only XRP available is what's loose liquidity out floating on the exchanges. Thank you for coming. Right? I mean, we don't know which way it'll go, but it's super exciting knowing that these two things, I think, are the primary questions that need to be answered.
That's a killer clip. Now, here's another one. This is another Paul Barron clip about XR DeFi.
Assets in general, whether that's XRP, BTC. I think you're going to see that penetrate into multiple different ecosystems. So not just QuickSwap at Polygon, potentially AVAX, Arbitrum, Base. So the opportunity, last time I checked, I think the FDV of XRP was something in the realm of $150 billion, right?
Yeah, it's actually around 300 billion, but an opportunity here that's even bigger.
Okay. Now, this is former Barclays CEO Bob Diamond. Listen up.
David and I have spent the last 4 years really starting with an understanding of blockchain, the infrastructure, before we moved on to stable coins and tokens. I think the future of financial services will have blockchain as the underlying technology. I think it will be complete over the next decade. I think any large financial services organization, whether it's Barclays or JP Morgan or Citi or regional and community banks, that doesn't understand this and adopt the technology of the future will be left behind. I think when you think about transactions between large institutions, you know, today a very large US institution sending a very large $1 billion payment to someone in China or someone in Japan or an institution in Singapore. Basically, it goes to one of the large money center banks. It will take 2 or 3 days to arrange that transaction. It'll include a lot of KYC, and it will include a very, very large fee. So over a number of days, that transaction occurs with someone in the middle, a large money center bank. And with blockchain, that middle person is removed. The trust is there. The transaction isn't in 3 days, it's in seconds, 24/7, and very, very low cost with great trust and accountability.
Now, do you know why they went after Ripple so hard?
So, do I believe that the larger banks, the biggest and the best, are already investing significantly in understanding the technology around blockchain? Absolutely and unequivocally. David?
You're darn right they are. Look at this. Bullish said they've arranged to receive $1.15 billion of proceeds from its recently completed IPO in stablecoins, which represents a historic step for the use of stablecoins in initial public offering in the United States. And then Riz tweeted this, says Ripple RLUSD issued on XRP Ledger by Ripple. And then Ripple comes in, congrats to Bullish on a successful IPO. A portion of the IPO proceeds were settled in RLUSD, minted on the XRP Ledger. This is the first public listing to bring the settlement process on chain and sets a precedent for how stablecoins can shape the future. Folks, you know what that means? That means that a bunch of XRP was burned on that transaction right there. What happens when the whole world's running on this thing? And here I wanted to show you, Ripple has not been playing checkers. They've been playing chess. This came out. Crypto might just be the next oil. XRP is the oil, not Ethereum, not Bitcoin. XRP is the oil. Who's been over there working in the UAE for all this time? The UAE is set to make crypto its second largest industry within 5 years, according to an institutional investor. So I retweeted this. This is a Brad Garlinghouse tweet from back in 2024. Regulatory clarity is what businesses want and what consumers need. The UAE understands that. We're delighted to have secured in-principle approval of financial services license from Dubai Financial Services Authority, unlocking our end-to-end managed payment services in the UAE. Folks, my son is now 13 years old. He has retired from drawing pictures, but if you still need a picture drawn for you, there's not much I can do for you in this scenario. I've been here 7 years telling you all this stuff. Okay, we're going to go into DAIXRP.com. Got a lot more. If you'd rather join through YouTube, click join right below this. If you'd rather join through X, hit the subscribe button. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Away we go.